Watches that you should just go out and buy. Don't think about it and just buy these watches. I say that and laugh because, of course, you should never do that. You should only buy a watch if you really want the watch and, of course, if you could afford the watch. So definitely keep that in mind throughout this video. I'm going to be giving you some suggestions on watches that I've been fortunate enough to get hands-on with that I think are great. And if you've been considering buying one, then you should just go out and buy one because they are awesome watches, or at least I think they are. But again, take that with a grain of salt because it's just my opinion. But let's talk about 10 watches that I think are awesome. All of these are recent releases. And I'm going to start with my number one pick. These are in no particular order. So let's start with the first watch. The first watch on this list is a no-brainer. It's a Citizen, it's the Sado, and it's one of the thinnest watches that I've ever reviewed here on my channel. I'm buying the one with the blue dial because it's definitely my favorite out of the bunch. It is super thin. We're talking about around 5 millimeters thick. It's a 38 millimeter watch. It gets a beautiful dial that has some texturing, very slight texturing, and a pattern to it. It's also eco drive, so it's powered by light. It's a solar powered watch, and it's still that thin. It's pretty incredible what they can do these days with technology, but these are awesome watches that you definitely should consider if you want something that's very thin, very classy looking, kind of reminds me of a Chopard a little bit, and of course you don't want to spend a lot of money. These come in at around $300 on the Citizen website. There are some other websites that offer discounts. I'll put links, of course, to all these watches down in the description. The next watch on this list is a watch that came out earlier in 2024. It's a Tiso Sear. It's the Sear 1000 in 40 millimeters. It's a watch that I've been waiting for a long time to come out because they've come out with a 43 millimeter version. They've come out with a 46 millimeter version. They've come out with quartz versions, GMTs that are quartz, but they never came out with a straightforward 40 millimeter dive watch in that Tiso Sear form. And finally, they have done it. And it gets all the bells and whistles that you would expect from their 46 millimeter version because it gets a textured dial. So these are getting a textured dial, very different from the 43 millimeter version of the Sear 1000. So this is the automatic version with 80 hours of power reserve. It comes in at 40 millimeters. It gets an oyster style bracelet with polishing down the center links, which I don't really love. And you're still getting that run of the mill clasp. I really wish that they would upgrade these, but they haven't done that yet. You can get these on the secondary market already because Tiso make a lot of watches, and you can get this between $500 or $600 on places like eBay, but also WatchMax and a bunch of other places also have them. If I have a link, I will put it down in the description. One of my favorite watches of 2024 was the Citizen Zen Shin. These are watches that I have talked about here on my channel many, many times. I post about them on Instagram all the time. I think they are fantastic watches for the price, and now the prices are actually coming down on these watches. You can get them for around $500 directly from Citizen. Currently, I think they have one or two of the models marked down to around $500. There is, of course, 3 different versions. There is 2 Eco Drive versions. There's a 3-hand Eco Drive with a date. Then you have a chronograph with a date. And then there is the automatic version that gets an 8 series Citizen Miyota movement inside. And you are getting a day date with that. All of them get a beautiful textured dial. Doesn't matter if you're getting the automatic or the Eco Drive. And of course, they are made out of super titanium, which is basically titanium with an extra hard coating that is clear, so it's scratch resistant. Really awesome watches for the price. They look a lot more expensive than they are, and the textures on the dial sort of remind me of a snowflake pattern. It's great. I love these watches, and they are a great deal. If you've been thinking about one, definitely check them out. One of my favorite watches on this list, one of my favorite brands, Formex, a brand that I've been talking about here on my channel for many, many years. I'm specifically saying the Essence, even though I own a Reef. I really love the Essence, and you're getting all the bells and whistles that they offer in one watch. They offer a case suspension system, which you really can't get anywhere else. It offers shock resistance, but it also offers comfort because when you're wearing the watch, it actually flexes a little bit. That case actually flexes a little bit, so it's very, very comfortable. They also offer on-the-fly micro adjust no matter what. So if you want it in a strap, they have it for a strap. The clasps are all adjustable and they are on the fly adjustable. And then of course, their bracelets also adjustable. They make really nice bracelets. They all use ETA movements. So usually a Sellita SW200, sometimes a little bit nicer, sometimes they're a little bit more expensive. They're COSC certified, they're decorated, and you're getting a custom rotor. Lots of really cool dials offered as well, but if you want a bog standard like a blue dial or a green dial or something like that, they're around $1,500 and they go up from there to in the 2000s if you want something like the Space Gold, which is a really cool meteorite dial that is gold plated. So there you go, a really awesome watch from a brand that is a brand of firsts. I believe they were the first to put on-the-fly micro adjust into a butterfly clasp. Also, you get 100 meters of water resistance with the Essence. I should mention that because it is a true everyday sports watch. Definitely, if you are thinking about an Essence, go out and buy one because they are amazing watches. Next watch on this list is a watch that I called the Stormtrooper when I reviewed it here on my channel. It's the Boue Oceanographer GMT. This is based on the vintage Oceanographer 666 Devil Diver. However, it gets a fully loomed dial and a fully loomed bezel, something that you don't see very often from major brands. This is a GMT. It is powered by a Citizen movement or a Miyota movement. That is the Miyota 9075. So this is a Traveler GMT. These are automatic, of course. You get 200 meters of water resistance. They're really good looking watches and they're around $800. You're getting a lot of watch for that $800. These come on a strap. They make versions that come on bracelets. Those are slightly more expensive. However, just about the same price as this watch. So if you want one on a bracelet or on a strap, they're about $800. I highly recommend these watches. Not only are they really good looking, functional, but they're also somewhat historic. They have a really cool history behind them, and Boue are a great brand. Let's say $800 is a little bit too high for you and you want a really good looking GMT. Maybe you want something in titanium. Take a look at the Timex Expedition North GMT. It looks like a Black Bay Pro GMT, and I think that is not a bad thing. It's in full titanium. It gets an automatic movement. This time they're putting an NH34 inside, which yes, is an office GMT or a military GMT. That doesn't really matter. I love this watch. I wear it very, very often. I own this and I have put it on a bracelet that came on the James brand version of it. Originally, I was in love with that James brand version. It's more expensive. It gets a 9075. But no, this is my favorite version, and I got it for under $500 directly from Timex using a discount code. The only thing I could say is that I don't love the strap because it doesn't taper, but besides that, I have no complaints about this watch. The lume is good. I think it's great looking, and it's a really nice size. Also, it's made out of titanium. Definitely check out the Expedition North GMT. I would actually purchase this over the James brand edition, even though that has a 9075. The next watch on this list is really a no-brainer if you are a fan of Gerald Genta inspired integrated bracelet watches. It's the Christopher Ward 12, specifically the one with the blue dial that looks like a way more expensive watch than it actually is. It's in stainless steel, it gets a textured dial, and it's powered by a Sellita movement. If you get it on a strap, it's actually under $1,000 at around $995, so just under that $1,000 number. If you get it on a bracelet, their bracelets have recently been upgraded with on-the-fly micro adjust, so even their butterfly clasps now get on-the-fly micro adjust, and it gets it on both sides, so it's around 2 or 3 millimeters. You can get these to fit your wrist really, really well. They're more expensive. I think they're around $200 or $300 more expensive on a bracelet. I would highly recommend getting it on the bracelet and buying the strap afterwards, because obviously the bracelet's going to be more expensive to buy if you decide to get it later. Anyway, these are awesome watches, very thin, really good looking. If you like the PRX, but you want something a little bit nicer, and when I say a little bit, it's really a lot nicer, check out the 12 from Christopher Ward. The next watch on this list is another Tiso. This is a very recent release from Tiso. It's a re-release of their PR516 from the I believe it's the 1970s. It gets a PowerMatic 80. This is an everyday watch on a Jubilee style bracelet. It's very straightforward, but a very good looking watch. It's around 38 millimeters. It gets 100 meters of water resistance, and it costs around $700. They're already being discounted on the secondary market. I think these are just really good looking watches. I've always admired the vintage versions, and they're making a new version with the PowerMatic 80, so you're getting that 80 hours of power reserve. I think they're great. The only problem with this watch, the only problem with a lot of Tisos, even the TSO Sear 1000 that I mentioned before, this gets a bezel with a mineral crystal rather than a sapphire crystal, so your bezel will scratch while your crystal will not. Unfortunately, that's something that they've done with other watches, but these are great watches. I've seen them in hand, and they are really nicely made for that price. I would wait until they go onto the gray market because they will be cheaper there, but if you have to have it at that $700, it's definitely worth it. The next watch on this list is the most expensive watch on this list. Comes in at around $2,600, depending on where you're buying it. You can get them on the gray market, new at around that price. Sometimes a little bit cheaper if you buy them on places like eBay, and sometimes more expensive depending on where you're going. It is the Ultron from Longines. This is a beautiful watch, and it's a high beat. It gets 300 meters of water resistance. This is the stainless steel version that I'm talking about that's on a bracelet. They also make it on a strap. I prefer the bracelet because it looks a little bit more 70s in my opinion. I like the look of this watch. This gets a sapphire bezel, sapphire crystal, and of course a high beat automatic that's made by ETA. So this is an ETA movement inside. It's the L836. It is a bespoke movement to Longines. There is no other brand that will get this. It operates at 3,600 vibrations per hour, and it gets a 52-hour power reserve. 300 meters of water resistance. Recently, they came out with a carbon version. I really love that version as well, but it is significantly more expensive. This, I think, retails for around $3,800. Like I said, you can get them for cheaper on the gray market and secondary market, but if you like that carbon version, I would actually pick that over this as well, but they are a lot more expensive. I'm not sure that they're worth that extra money. You get all the same technology in this, except you don't get that carbon case. That's really the only difference. Anyway, great watches, and they feel amazing in hand. Very, very high quality. The last two watches on this list are two micro brands. The first is Zen Co. It's the 369. It's a watch that I recently reviewed here on my channel. I love this watch. It looks like a combination between an H. Moser Streamliner and a Laurent Ferrier Sport integrated bracelet watch. It gets a beautiful solid link bracelet that has polish along the edge of each link. It gets a tonneau shaped case, 200 meters of water resistance. It's probably one of the best designs that's not Gerald Genta inspired from a micro brand that I have seen in a long time. It's a very high quality watch. You get a Sellita SW200 inside. It gets a custom rotor. You get a really beautiful case back on here that has a plate that's perforated, and also you're getting on the fly micro adjust. Everything about this watch screams that it's a premium watch, but the price is around $1,500. That is a lot for a micro brand watch, but you're getting a lot of watch for that money. It's beautiful, and I absolutely love it. The dials are beautiful. You're getting lume on some you're just getting solid blocks of metal like the one that I have. It's a dark star. It has a black dial and those gold blocks instead of lume. So these look cool, and I absolutely love these watches. Last but not least on this list is the Echo Nutra Rivanera. This is a watch that I fell in love with when I saw it at Wind Up New York here in 2024, back in October. This is a tank watch from the Italian brand. It's made out of grade 5 titanium. It's got a brutalist design. It's basically a bead blasted watch with just 2 lines of polish down the sides. It's hand wound, so you're getting an ETA 7001 inside. You can see it from the back. It's very nicely decorated. You're getting a monochromatic look, so the dial sort of matches the case, and you're getting a black strap on this. Very cool watch. And I've always said this about Echo Neutral, when you see their watches, you immediately recognize them because they usually use muted tones for all their dials, and their dials kind of always match their cases a little bit. I really loved this watch when I saw it, and of course I had it in for review. It's also very thin, 5.9 millimeters thick. That's including both sapphire crystals. Very cool watch, very good looking, and again, these come in at around $1,500. That does seem expensive because this is a micro brand watch, but the design here I think speaks for itself. This is something different, something that no other brand is doing, and I love it, and I highly recommend these watches. So there you go. That's my list. Tell me what you guys think down in the comments below. There are plenty of other watches that I could add to a list like this, and I will continue to make videos like this in the future. It's sort of a heads up on some of the latest releases and maybe some releases that you might have missed. Great watches that I think are awesome, and I think that you should go out and buy. If you've been thinking about it, definitely stop thinking about it and buy these watches because they are fantastic. Tell me what you think down in the comments below. That's really it, guys. Thank you for logging on. Thank you for watching this video. Thank you for joining me today. I will catch you guys in the next video.